Can you hear me okay?
Yep.
Okay. All right, Casey, we're going to fall into consciousness. We're going to fall into consciousness. Take a deep breath. Take a deep breath. We're going to fall into consciousness. We're going to connect now to a lifetime most closely associated with the consciousness and crystal work you are doing in this life. That lifetime or spiritual experience that has information you are most wanting to connect with, that is most wanting to connect with you. What are you seeing?
I'm seeing a being trying to come through the crystal. And it looks like some kind of insectoid being. It looks like an ant being, something like this. It's not forming in full yet. It's just trying to come through.
What is this ant being doing?
Wasn't doing anything until you asked that. And now he looks like he's at a desk and he's rifling through papers. He's busy. He's looking for something.
What is he looking for?
I don't know yet. He's looking under the desk now. He's getting overly curious and intent upon finding what it is he's looking for, but he hasn't found it yet.
Where is he?
He's in an office, and there is a feeling of this being somewhat associate with the military, with ET retrieval.
Like retrieval from other places?
Like when there's a crash landing on the planet, retrieving what is left, possibly even beings themselves.
Did he lose something?
He seems to work for an office that's associated with the idea of the military, of the medical examiners.
Where, on what planet is this ant being?
Insectoid. I'm not sure exactly what kind of a species this is, but it is insectoid.
Insectoid. Huh. What is the purpose of this insectoid besides? So you're getting that it's a more medical examiner.
I'm picking up on ideas in the ether.
Okay.
They're not large ideas, they're just mildly here in the air.
Okay. In the air?
Yes.
If you could put a picture to that, what would that look like?
It would look like what I'm looking at, like this insectoid being at a desk in an office. rifling through papers.
But you said that the idea is out in the ether. So if the insectoid,
Ideal military is out in the ether. The idea of medical examiner or this type of idea is out in the ether, in the air, just floating around. It's not heavily here. There's not a sign that says this is so. There's not a uniform that is wearing. So what I am saying is that it is just mildly here in the air. My antennae are reaching out and they are picking up on these ideas.
you have antenna where on your head?
It was a metaphor. Well, yes, I feel there is an association between the being I am looking at and myself. Although I do not know what this association is yet, I am as a point of consciousness observing from above, a scene below.
Can we move in closer?
Yes. I'm looking at a piece of paper he's holding in his hands.
What does the paper say?
There's writing upon the paper, but the characters are not in our English language.
If you could use words out of our English language to describe that, what was being said, what would that be?
The first word that comes to me is help.
Help.
There are symbols on this piece of paper that are not very close together. It's almost like they are stars in the sky that together form some sort of geometry. There's a connection between the characters, but it is as though all of them combined compose a single character. And the idea I get for this right now is help. He's confused by what he's seeing at. He has a finger to his chin and he's in the process of making a determination of what this means. He's taking it and putting it down into a compartment in the desk down below. He's filing it away. He's taken note of it and done what he can with it, and now he's filing it away.
Okay. So
Starting to appear more like a bunny, like Bugs Bunny. Eating a carrot, very aggressively eating a carrot. He appears like a very old Bugs Bunny.
is this a new being or the same?
It's just how the idea is progressing into where it is we're going.
Okay. Let's move ahead into see where that Bugs Bunny takes us. An older Bugs Bunny.
Yes, the idea that this being has been here for some time.
A male or a female? It would be a male, correct?
I would lean more toward the male, as Bugs Bunny tends to lean toward the male. And the aging characteristics on his face assume a mustache.
And what is this character doing? Is it still more of a
Eating and eating and eating, very assertively eating.
is there a reason why he's so intently eating? Like, what is the purpose of this?
I am not detecting any particular purpose. This is not to say there is not one, only that I am not detecting one. I feel like we're just moving through ordinary
Yeah.
activities of his day. The work does look boring. There is the idea he has been at it for some time. The schedule is quite rigid or regimented. Lunch is at a very particular time. It is very much looked forward to. All of these ideas are present in the way that he is enjoying his lunch.
Maybe more bored and angry than happy about it.
I would not say angry, but boredom is likely not far from the mark. We can move through this area if you
Yes. Yes. Let's move through this area. However, in this area, is this the area, the cartoon-like area, again, that you move through to get to where you're going?
I often move through an area such as this. Yes, it is always an in-between place on the way to where we are going. We
Yes.
can move through slowly or rapidly as you wish.
Let's go through it. I just wanted to make that connection. So let's go move forward to where we need to be to connect you to the most important being that comes through the crystal for you.
Now we have Wile E. Coyote, and there's this other little critter, and he's back somersaulted off of a wheelbarrow. Wiley is rolling through, and this other is just doing backflips toward me as we speak.
I wonder, I'm curious to know why a cartoon place.
They are relief areas. They also indicate we are quite some distance from what we would call, quote, real space. So again, we can move through them to get to real space at your direction.
Can you go anywhere you want through that real space?
To fast forward through, you would simply need to direct me
Okay.
to pass through the cartoon area toward the next important location. My body and my mind will move through this area at the correct pace as the body is adjusted, the mind is adjusted to ready itself for what is coming. And so in these cartoon-like areas are energetic adjustments to my mind-body system, again, in preparation or to ready myself for what lay ahead.
Okay. Let's move forward to where the most important time to connect with these crystal beings for Casey is. The most important being.
Okay, I am beginning to see an eye through the crystal. There are various eyes, and certain clusters of beings come through certain of the eye formations. This is one of the formations in which it is very challenging for me to, at present, capture. I do not know who lay beyond this eye, but this eye is the one that is appearing right now, and I appear like a vehicle moving through a tunnel and walking into and through this eye.
So like the eye is a tunnel you're going through?
Okay, ahead of me now is a path, and again, I am on a railroad track and pushing a wheelbarrow, and we have Pinocchio.
Pinocchio. Okay. So
There are
there,
associations commonly made with Pinocchio, and I am quite assuming that these are the ideas that are meaning to be coming to us through the presentation of the being here as Pinocchio. The telling of a fib, the growing of the nose, the lesson learned in all of this is associated with why we are now moving into the area of this eye.
okay.
It is a nice day. It is a very pastel-like environment. The sky is a very soft, very beautiful, light pastel blue, almost so pastel as to be near white. And there are tall grasses. This is all still very animated. There are butterflies and fairies and the like
Fairies.
in the air. Yes.
What do they look like?
The one I am seeing now appears as a female with auburn colored hair and a bright emerald green dress. She is flying on a tiny miniature, I am going to say broom.
A broom, like a witch is a broom, but for fairies.
Yes.
And there are creatures.
With her. And these others include a young male and animal type life. And there is the idea of the broom becoming a horse and the horse becoming a uniform. So in other words, the vehicle she is riding upon morphing and changing, it not being any one idea in particular, but it being magical.
Okay. So these two fairies are two of the beings that are around you. What are other things that are around you that you can connect with?
My inner being is simply attempting to adjust my energy to get my body in its position to more fully relax. It is
Okay.
giving me something to look upon that is making my whole body smile. And this is creating a more relaxed state within me. I can feel that my body is tensed. It is almost as though it knows ahead of me what is coming. So as we move through these scenes, they themselves are not very important in the details that they hold, although we can bring these to light as these energy adjustments do take place.
I do like to talk to you about these places.
We are with the pony at present. It is walking upon the ground. There is a small girl, a young girl, about 7 years of age. She is pale skinned and has platinum blonde, almost yellow hair. And she's wearing a white dress with a pink apron over the whole top of it. And they're walking along a path. There are others now I am seeing coming up behind her. They're walking toward a house.
Okay. Let's go into the house. Or near the house.
The house looks abandoned as I'm seeing it now. It's dark. It's not colorful like this other aspect of the scenery. It's old and it's wooden, and it appears so old as to have been abandoned. And the land that I'm now seeing around it is desolate. It grows nothing.
What's important about this house? Why are you going to this house and this land?
I don't know. But as we continue further in, I may be in to see. Another of the beings from the crystal is beginning to show herself to me.
Okay.
It is a being I associate with the feline energies and also with the energy of Atlantis. And she has been attempting to come through more fully, and she indeed is one of the beings who can come through the particular eye I have previously mentioned in the area, in the approximate area of it.
Is there a special frequency that you have to be at to come through that eye, the pathway through it?
The eye belongs to the overbeing, and the beings who present through the eye are the overbeing in manifest forms. And there are multiple clusters of beings, again, associated with this particular eye or overbeing. I have never quite been able to see who the eye belongs to, so there is likely not much I can say with any certainty relative to it. We just have to keep moving forward through the visuals that are coming at us.
Okay. Let's talk about this Atlantis feline.
Elephant. Now there are elephants.
And elephants.
And they are walking in a line, and each elephant is holding the tail of the elephant before it. They are beginning to move at a much faster pace now, and there are young people upon some of their backs. I have an association with a young boy named Njoli, who rode the work elephants in Egypt and who died at age 9. And I am feeling like this is what we are now coming into, at least in part. I could be right, I could be wrong. I will keep following the elephants.
Okay. Let's see where the elephants take us.
Yeah, to many more animals and life forms. What I want to say we are seeing now, I do not recognize. This is not something I think is from the earth, or if it is at a much different time than we humans are here. It has a fur coat and it is rust or auburn colored. And it has white areas that are patched or polka dotted with black. It is very different than anything I have ever seen, but the species is somewhat particulating down into what I can recognize, and that would be the fox.
Fox.
It itself is hugely different. But I think this animal may have evolved or devolved into what we now call the fox.
What time period are you in? If we're before that.
We're before, we are well before any recorded time, as we know. I am getting the idea of many, many millions of years in the past.
And is the land still desolate?
I am nowhere near the house because we followed the
Yes, elephants.
animals out into the grasses and where it's like dead grasses, aged grasses, yellow
Do
grasses.
you know what part of the earth you're on?
Africa.
Can you look down and see your body there? Or is it her body still?
I have, from my own perspective, this whole while just been point consciousness, but I can look and see if I am in a body and see if I can look down at my feet. So many are appearing, but at the same time and more pronouncedly behind this is the idea of giraffes. I am a giraffe.
You are a giraffe.
I'm a giraffe here.
What is it like to be a giraffe?
I don't know how to answer that question. I just feel like me.
Is this life
This is not a life.
what would you call it?
It is an experience. I can shift into the consciousness field of any being in creation and experience myself merged with that idea. And this is what is happening now. There is a small family unit. However, the family unit is already shifting into the elk and the deer. And so we are just shifting from animal to animal to animal to animal.
So if you're a point consciousness and you can go really anywhere. Let's go to
I
where
think
you need.
some importance in the fact that we have landed on the continent of Africa.
Yes.
So there is some point in us being in this geographical location.
And let's go to that point in time that we can find that information.
I think we are here. We are just moving through, again, a metamorphosis.
Okay.
And I
Kind of
can,
like moving through the layers.
yes, and also time with stone circles. I can see them protruding up from the ground through the tall grasses.
And there's stone circles.
Yes. I'm going to see if I can read the writing
Okay.
upon this stone. There is much wear and it has aged. But I am getting the glimmer of glyphs.
And what do those look like?
And the glyphs are shifting me into another scene. And there is a chariot-like vehicle made of gold. And Egyptian looking men at its helm. And this is being driven through a city area. The ground is dirt. But these men are dressed well, armored well, and the people in this environment are dressed well. Everyone is clean and almost elegantly dressed. I will say pristinely dressed. Some of the clothing is very simple, but it is pristine. The whites are white. The gold is very gold. So this is a civilized, what we would call civilized nation. There are pyramids. Most of the structures here, not all of them, but a good deal of them, notably the larger of the structures, are pyramidal.
Could we talk about the pyramids for a moment?
Yes.
Do you know who built those pyramids?
Ptah.
Ptah. And how did Ptah build the pyramids?
Through a workforce.
Of humans?
Yes. Mostly humans.
Mostly humans.
Mostly earth humans. Everyone appears somewhat human, but some here are not entirely earth human.
And what exactly were the pyramids used for?
There are multiple functions for each of the pyramids. Some belong to the priests. Some belong to those who are more medical, more medicinal, more working with plants and the healing properties of plants. Some are for worship. Some are for craft, for the landing and the taking off of craft.
For any beings coming into Earth?
I am fairly certain our space is not open to any who wish to enter, but it is for any of those who are here to come and to go.
Before we move forward from the pyramids, is there any other information about them that you would like to tell me?
I am not seeing anything, and my draw to this place has not been the pyramids, but more the chariot
Okay,
drivers, the
let's go.
male predominant energy. I seemed to have been following them into this scene. So it seems like we might want to follow them
Yes, let's follow them.
further.
Let's follow them and see, and tell me what you're seeing.
I'm inside one of the structures on a balcony of sorts. And one of the men seems to be lifting another over his head as if snapping him in two. Everything is moving in super slow motion, as though the speed on the film strip has been intentionally slowed way down. I think this is giving my body a chance to acclimate to the content of the scene at a pace at which it can handle.
Just take your time. And as you acclimate, then tell me what you see.
Violence, depravity, all male, all animalistic. Even the males here assume a somewhat half male, half animal form. I am beginning to heat up,
I can see.
so I am shifting more full body into the scene now.
Let's observe this scene. Is this the scene that we need to learn from?
Yes,
What is it about this scene that we need to take away from it?
just what is happening here,
The violence with the men.
participation in it.
Let's move through this scene while you, and see if there's anything else we can learn from this besides the participation in the violence. Is there a reason for the violence?
Well, I think the reason I am here is to discover why I have not been able to see who the I in the crystal belongs to, and the beings and clusters of beings who would present to me through it. It is something that does need to be moved through, something that does need to ultimately happen. There are clusters of beings from this one which require completion and reintegration within my system for this completion.
Okay.
It is contrasted with the current life and the energy of the current life. It is an evolution
Okay.
as such of some of all of this. There are many types of people and animals and beings here, and the civilization itself is not energetically displeasing. It is, there is a certain lightness, a certain lightness of being in most of the populace. Everyone is cared for. All the needs are seen to. It is a time of abundance and well-being. And there is a very close connection between the people and the animals, the animal kingdom. There is a blending as well of humans with animals.
As in bodies?
Repeat.
When you say that there's a perfect blending of animal and human, are you meaning that the humans and the animals are blended in physical form or in spiritual form?
Yes, the human's genetics are being spliced with the animal genetics, and beings that are half animal, half human are being created and experienced and explored.
Like in a lab?
I believe the blending of the genetics may be occurring in such a way. And then once the beings are created, a further development is achieved through the natural biological blending of these beings with others, some of whom are still fully human or humanoid, and some between those are half and half with each other.
So it happens naturally.
At first, it occurs genetically, and then it happens naturally.
I understand.
And the tiger, the cat, the large cat. This animal in particular features heavily. Much of the violence we just moved through up on the balcony was of such beings. Half tiger, half human, but not necessarily earth human.
Half tiger, half human.
Probably not earth human. They are too large.
So when you say earth human, then you mean that there are other humans on other planets?
Yes, there are many humanoid beings from other star systems, and some of those who are here are more associated with those systems than specifically our planet. However, our planet is located in what they would call their local space. These are universal beings with access to the galaxies, and so their home territory is much larger than what we would call our own.
And our government knows this?
Government as it exists at this time are these beings themselves, and so yes, they are aware of themselves.
Okay, let's keep going on from there. So they're beings from the SARS systems, but some are associated from here, but others are associated with the universal star system. And these beings,
Yes, and
can be,
I can pick up on the idea of Aldebaran. In particular, I can pick up on the idea of Sirius. When I'm picking up on the idea of Sirius, I understand there are multiple planetary bodies within that system, and I'm trying to key in Sirius A. These are the two coming the most forward to me. There are other systems as well, but these are the two that are pushing out to me.
why don't we go to one of their systems? Once you connect with one of them, why don't you tell me what you were seeing?
I believe the choice I have made is Aldebaran, because I am seeing two beings in particular. One who matches the energy of what we have just experienced, and the other who, through a form of telepathy between us, has informed me of his Aldebaran origin. And this being is indeed having genetics in the feline species.
So you are seeing two beings, one that matches the energy and the other one through the form of telepathy.
What I am saying is you have given me a choice of
Yes,
star systems, and it seems I have chosen Aldebaran.
yes, let's choose and go there. And you see this feline species. Would you like to follow it?
My choice being Aldebaran.
Okay. Would you like to explore that?
I am now connecting with Aldebaran.
Okay.
You may ask questions.
Okay. Aldebaran is connected to the Sirius star, correct?
The planetary governments, if you will, of Aldebaran are having connection with the planetary governments of Sirius, if this is what you mean.
Yes.
All galactic planetary governments are connected, just as our individual planetary governments of each of the independent nations are connected.
So all of the beings in our government connect with beings in other governments.
This is not correct, as we are not a galactic species as of yet. What I am meaning to relay is that just as our planetary governments are each connected with one another, the government of the United States is connected with all the governments of all of the other nations. Just as this is so, all of the planetary governments of the galactic nations are likewise all connected with one another.
Okay. What does Aldebaran look like?
The colors I am seeing, and I am seeing a color pattern: red, purple, brown, white. I am not, for instance, seeing green. I am not, for instance, seeing blue. The skies are a very different color. The earth, the ground, is a very different color. I am feeling the idea of buildings and structures that are much more adamant, more strong than our own. These are fierce, like steel.
Like a different type of element than steel?
Our buildings are much weaker in comparison. Wood, plaster, and such. These are made of far fiercer materials.
Is your civilization on Aldebaran much the same as Earth's?
Repeat.
The civilization on Earth, as far as the humans and humanoids, is it the same way on Aldebaran with the buildings and working and
Are you
life?
asking if it is civilized? Yes, it is civilized. Yes. It is organized. There is structure.
What are the beings like on Aldebaran?
Well, what I am feeling is very masculine, very male, strong, and I also want to say warlike, but it is not that they are always at war. Just when you picture a being of this height and this size and muscularity. It's the idea that comes through. Are there women? Of course there are. Male and female.
Can you explain to me the characteristics of these beings?
Are you inquiring as to their physical characteristics?
Yes.
Are you inquiring as to their species,
Mm,
their genome?
yes. That would, I would think that would be the same if your genome would make your physical attributes and your being, I guess, yes.
I am still seeing a being that is quite humanoid, but the feline species is visually predominant in the appearance. I would not be able to say that this is the only body type. Associated with this planet, but it's what is still standing before me. It is not unlike what we saw in the Egyptian scene.
Let's go to a particular moment that's important on Aldebaran. And let's see if there's any information that can help us.
I'm seeing a helmet with crossbars across what would be the visor, the area of the helmet that crosses in front of the eyes. It's being backlit in a black space.
Like sport.
A helmet like for war.
Okay.
However, I do not receive the idea that these are purely worn for that purpose, but rather for some are regular attire. There's an idea of a male structure filling the inside of the helmet, and also suit. It's holding a spear that looks like a large arrow. And he is thrusting this into the dark in front of him. I don't know why this is important, but it's what I see.
Okay. Let's go back to Aldebaran again. Do you have a crystal that, or a being that connects specifically with Casey through the crystal from Aldebaran?
Once more, yes.
And who would that be?
Tongue connects through the celestite crystal.
And are we able to connect with him now?
This is one of the two beings who has been connecting this whole while.
Okay. And he is the cat like being, or feline.
He is humanoid with very feline characteristics. Yes. Not fur as a feline would. This would be more feline than human. Aldebaran is more human than feline. So he appears very humanoid, extremely attractive, and has feline characteristics such as the ears, such as the teeth, such as having very cat-like eyes.
And what does the skin look like?
Much like our own. I have never looked under the clothing, but I see the skin on his face and his hands, and it is much like our own.
Does Atom have, so as far as the species of Atom, is there a name for that species?
Yes, but I am not able to get at it at the moment.
What is Atom coming through the crystal to help Casey with?
The crystal, Aldebaran, works together with the crystal Rael and the crystal George and the crystal Isa, and the work that is currently being done. Some energies are more associated with light and visuals, and others more associated with sound and vocals. They all coalesce to help facilitate alterations within the energetic structure of the body to bring through higher frequency flows, to bring through data, information from higher frequencies to our Earth planet.
And this is what Casey is supposed to relay through the crystal to others. Well, all of the crystals.
It is what others wish to relay through her. To your point, your place in time, yes.
Is there anything else here that we need to observe or come to light and knowledge for us today?
Well, this is me, Casey. And I liked where you were going when you began asking about the environment. And I think it would be helpful if you continued to break down that idea by asking it in specific questions such as, what color is the sky? What kind of wildlife grows here, etc.
Okay, so let's keep going. I would like to kind of map out this place with you. So I'd like to know in this place if there's other continents like we have with other weather systems? Like, do you have weather like us?
There is weather, but the weather is consistent around the sphere, and it is helped to be this way, maintain this sameness through technology that those on this planet have discovered, have helped to create. It is a temperate sort of a climate, but colder than what we would deem temperate. Something perhaps akin to a 47 to 50 degree consistency. The light is not as bright as it is here. It indeed often looks quite dark. There is a day and a night, but not in the same sense as we know here. There are, what is the word? I can only come up with weather patterns that invoke the sky to be different colors at different times. It is a small period of time, something like what we would think of as 4 hours, where the sky is a purple. Then the rest of the time it is night, a very deep, deep blue, almost black.
And you see the stars just as we do?
There are lights visible in the sky, planetary bodies visible in the sky, moons visible in the sky. Yes.
Okay. So what kind of other kind of life forms, like, do you consume other animals like we do?
I do get the idea that this still occurs. However, it is not a requirement to the degree that our bodies require external food sources, because their structures are more connected to the life force energy than our own. So it is more a ritual or reminiscence almost of times past that can get enacted as one wishes, but they do not, like us, where they're not required to eat 2-3 meals a day every day. It's not this much.
And they don't, like, do they need water?
I feel like the alchemical structure of their planet is not the same as ours. It is not exactly air that they breathe, and it is not exactly water that they drink, but there is an equivalent. But again, it is more ceremonial, more ritual and reminiscent that they partake in these activities.
When you say reminiscent, does that mean that this system is ahead of time, ahead of our time?
although the time is synchronous, we ourselves would perceive it this way. Yes, I feel what I am seeing is a fifth, high fifth, possibly even sixth dimensional time space.
What, if you don't mind me asking, what does the energy feel like in a fifth and sixth dimensional time space?
The question is very broad.
As a human, I feel heavy.
Yes.
Is how does the fifth and sixth dimension differentiate from that third dimensional heavy feeling?
We could write books on the subject, yes. But if you break that down and ask it in individual bites, we
Okay.
may be able to get to what you are wanting to know. For instance, do you experience weight the way we do?
Yes.
Do you experience physicality the way we do? And the answer, of course, would be no. We are three-dimensional. We experience space between one thing and another thing, whereas in sixth-dimensional space, the knowledge is ever present of the entire visual world. I'm struggling with how to word this. I myself would not struggle if I myself come forward to tell you, which I am now beginning to do. As we can clearly see, I'm speaking faster.
Yes. Yeah.
But I was trying not to, but now that I'm here, and we can probably conclude after this because now I'm back.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, six-dimensional space there. It's like when you're going out of body, your presence, your point of awareness. Yes, there is a visual around you in which you can see yourself having form, and you can even construct and make changes to the form with your own consciousness. So, it's of course experienced very differently than in physical space, where we have no notion at all of the
Right.
relationship between consciousness and body. In a six-dimensional space, there is awareness of all being all at once. And the all being consciousness of the visual display being created and being one who can participate in the creation of that, meaning I can alter my structure, I can do things with it that you can't do in physical space. 3D earth life space in particular, such as float up into the air, walk through walls, dematerialize, rematerialize, teleport, project your consciousness into the vehicle of what appears a spacecraft and shoot through time and space to any coordinate that you wish, demolecularizing into a body structure and walking upon the land. And so there's many things that you can do in that type of a consciousness that you can't do in a 3D type of consciousness.
I'm really excited to see that. Okay. It's time to come up now. Nice and easy. Nice and easy. It's Thursday, June 9th at 9:54 p.m. your time. The body, you can start to reintegrate the body from your toes and wiggle them, your arms and legs, and come right up nicely. It's time to reintegrate. Come nicely up, 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 and reconnect with Casey. Which you were already with Casey, so never mind. How are you doing?
I don't want to open my eyes. It's nice. I like going into that energy. I know it's probably weird listening to me speak really slow like a mechanical device.
Not at all. I actually, it gives me time to be able to write